seduced can be persuaded to desert or neglect their duties, or be unduly influenced to please the object of their desire, which can give the object power over the knight. A weakness can be exploited by their enemies. When a knight falls prey to utilizing lust, they find themselves seducing the innocent and bringing children into the world without a family to care for them and properly love them. Conceived through the hollow act of pleasure, rather than true act of love, the child will be in danger of growing into the world without ever truly experiencing love and being unable to give it themselves. See, I don't agree with this. My mother left when I was young.
What was your mother falling prey to the vice of lust?
Oh, wanderlust, I suppose. I guess it makes sense. I probably would have been a more rounded person.
It doesn't always happen, but it's a danger that you don't...
No, I agree.
It's a way to lust. If you let lust in the door, these are some of the things that can happen.
So
notice, he did say
then definitely it is an issue of virtue. That the wanderlust came into her heart. She left, and it affected my childhood. A tragedy. Lust can lead a knight to covet the lover of another, or to be unfaithful to their own wife or husband, and therefore bring great suffering to their family. This can also lead to bloodshed, as wrath seizes its chance to take root. Lust, when kept unchecked, can overcome a knight's sensibility and send them spiraling into despair, taking those they care for with them. Temperance and gluttony. The pillar of temperance is personified in the mastery of one's self. Temperance could be thought of as the glue that holds the virtues together. Through temperance, a knight finds strength and will realize all of the other virtues to stave off all the vices. The elements or sub-virtues of temperance are discipline and honor. Discipline is the hardening of the spirit and the will. Discipline is what allows a knight to master their strengths, to fight off their weakness. The art of self-control. The opponents of a knight who has mastered this sub-virtue will find them very difficult to shake from their path. Honor. A knight's honor is a sub-virtue to be understood as it is to strive to be possessed of integrity. A knight who cultivates honor will seek to be reliable in all things expected of them. If they can turn the page right. Come on, you.
There is no next page.
No, there is.
Oh, it's there.
You must have done.
The castle of... Did we go there? So that was Melkor.
It was a silly place.
It was a silly place.
Melkor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Melkor was a great big puddle of goo.
But before that, it was a silly place.
Yeah. I grew up there.
Here we go.
It was a silly
Agree
place.
to a task they are bound by honor to with all due diligence seek to complete that task. Excuse me. No more cider for Luchin. If they give their word, they are bound by honor to keep it. If they pledge their loyalty, they are bound by honor to be loyal to whom they all have pledged. If a knight's honor is questioned, they must be willing to put their life on the line to defend it, through duel or deed.
Through duel or deed.
What?
Through duel or deed.
Yeah, I said that, didn't I?
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
Through duel or deed.
That's
A gift, a knife, a knight will find waiting for them when they live their lives honorably, is that their reputation will be without reproach. Whereas honesty is integrity of one's spoken word, honor is integrity of one's deed. A knight's intentions will be known to be pure, and their pledge will be accepted as ironclad. They will be regarded as steadfast and reliable to the best of their ability in all things. Opposed to the pillar of temperance is the deadly vice of gluttony. I don't know, I just want to poke
No, that's good.
because you know Grendel.
I've met him twice.
Gluttony is often thought as the uncontrollable desire for food and drink. And while this is a prominent aspect of gluttony, it should not be mistaken for being the only way that gluttony seeks to take hold of a virtuous knight. A knight who is taken by gluttony will be ruled by their impulses, unable to control themselves regardless of the consequences. A gluttonous knight may find themselves planning an exquisite feast while the people of their fief or shire starve. A person afflicted with gluttony may find themselves gorging on the meager shared provisions of his comrades in arms while out on campaign, leaving his fellows without adequate nourishment and therefore weak on the battlefield. Like lust, a knight afflicted with this vice can be easily distracted from their duties, and their desire for these goods could serve as a weakness to be exploited by the enemy, an enemy intent on gaining undue influence or control over them. Finally, if left unchecked, a knight who has fallen prey to this deadly vice will find their health suffers, rendering them slow when called to defend themselves or those in charge, or in some cases, lying in wait to strike them dead from the inside. He's saying put down the fork. Yeah. I think so. It's a good thing. Or abstain.
It helps.
Yeah, abstain. Chastity and greed. No, not chastity. Charity and greed. Charity is the love of loving others. Through charity, a knight cultivates a feeling of joy from the act of bringing joy to others. When a knight is charitable, they will find themselves unswayed by the loss of worldly possessions, for their wealth will truly be measured in the wealth of those in their company. Beneath this pillar one finds the sub-virtue of benevolence, generosity, and sacrifice. Benevolence. Benevolence is the desire to do good for the sake of the result of such actions. A knight who is possessed of a benevolent soul will take great joy in the acts of deeds done to aid others. A satisfaction will be found in the act of doing for another that far exceeds any satisfaction for doing oneself. Doing for oneself. The gift a knight receives from benevolence is a reputation that will cause those around him to seek to defend him from the wicked deeds of others. The enemies of such a knight will find themselves surrounded by new enemies. The friends and allies the knight made through their benevolence. Oh, let me read that again. The enemies of such a knight will find themselves surrounded by new enemies. The friends and allies the knight made through their benevolent acts. Okay, that makes sense.
This page starts with generosity.
Does it?
Yes, it was at the bottom of the last page.
Thank you.
For the enemy of distraction that is trying to keep you from your path has found an enemy in me, who is one of your allies that you have made through benevolent acts.
Of reading this treatise on chivalry.
I was just about to suggest that. It's working quite well for me.
See?
Speaking of working well, is everyone staying warm enough? I could put some more wood on the fire.
I think it's actually pretty warm, but I'm not the only one here.
I'm fine.
Put all the wood
We're
on.
fine.
We don't need a Constantine fire.
What is this?
That's a warm brick.
A warm brick?
That's a hot brick.
Oh.
That's why I'm fine and was just about to suggest it, and then he reached out and grabbed a brick. And I'm like,
That's
Good
why I
man.
put my feet on one. So, generosity. As Philippe was proffering his warm brick.
brick.
Whereas benevolence is charity of deed. Generosity is charity of worldly possessions.
And they want to have it in one.
What are you looking for?
Alright, please have
Have some what?
Rum. He wants the
Oh.
rum.
It's not gone.
A generous knight gives
It will
freely
be.
without any thought of reward. When generosity is cultivated
Just thins the blood.
in a knight's life, the rewards that come back to them are not always given by those the knight may
Only if you drink too much.
have given to.
I don't
May
think
have given to.
sickle pill.
Understood.
No.
In the same way, a
pretty
knight who is benevolent will find himself surrounded by allies and friends ready to aid him in the need of aid. The generous tend to find themselves equally beloved and oftentimes provided for when they themselves are in need.
Thank you very much.
Giving a peasant girl your cloak when she is obviously cold depletes a knight's resources, but it would not be uncommon for such a knight to find himself provided for by the girl's father, the blacksmith, who may care for their horse when the knight finds himself in a state of poverty. Sacrifice. A knight is often called on to sacrifice themselves in many ways to fulfill their duties. Time spent away from their spouses, their children, and the things they love to do in pursuit of their duty. Sacrifice is perhaps the most costly of the virtues when it comes to the impact it will have on the life of a knight. However, when it comes a gift not unlike the gifts bestowed upon knights who seek it, personify the other sub-virtues of charity. A knight who sacrifices will find that others will be more willing to sacrifice for them. This pillar is opposed by the deadly vice of greed. Greed is an inordinate desire to possess far more than one's needs or desires. Let's try again, Luchin. Greed is an inordinate desire to possess far more than one's needs or desires. Though often, not able to turn the page, though often simply thought of as lust for wealth, it is also seen in excessive or rapturous desire and pursuit of status and power. A knight who is afflicted with this vice will find themselves weak to the temptation of bribery. Falling to this vice, a knight will sacrifice their friends